Meet Killer 1, Perry Smith, who helped slaughter the Clutter family.
Perry Smith's life was fraught with abuse. The son of an abusive father, an alcoholic, his mother died soon after by choking on her own vomit, leaving her children to the care of a Catholic orphanage. Smith claims that to escape the abuse at the hands of the orphanage, he and his siblings found themselves in another home for children run by the Salvation Army. Unfortunately, the abuse allegedly continued, with Smith recounting an incident in which an authority figure attempted to drown him. Once out of the care of the Salvation Army, 2 of his siblings committed suicide at an early age. The remaining sibling simply made herself inaccessible by moving away and discontinuing contact with the young Smith. It is believed that Smith's trauma stunted his ability to develop normal emotions and responsible actions throughout his life. Smith went on to join the Army, fighting in the Korean War. A troublemaker who liked to start fights, he was honorably discharged from the service in 1952. His violent tendencies and his inability to manage his anger issues were cited in court. In 4 years, he'd be sentenced to 12 years of prison time for the charge of breaking and entering. During this time, he met his soon-to-be partner in crime, Richard Hickock.
The slain members of the Clutter family.
It's a mad, mad world. The smiling faces you see above belong to the 4 people who were slain, as Truman Capote put it, in cold blood. He wasn't wrong. The paternal figure is Herbert Clutter. He was known as an upstanding sort who owned a successful farm in Holcomb, KS. He was a present figure in church and on many city committees. He didn't drink or smoke, and made sure his employees didn't have issues with either of those vices either. Quick to smile, is fondly remembered by friends and former employees. The type that folks call the salt of the earth. His wife is Bonnie Clutter. She studied to be a nurse, but her dreams were dashed. Sadly, she was afflicted with depression after the birth of her last child, Kenyon, and her condition was so bad, she was known as bedridden and fragile. Still, the show had to go on, what with 4 children and a bevy of farmhands to keep fed. Her husband Herb was truly supportive and understanding. In those days, you didn't up and leave the mother of your children, you stood by her thick and thin. Nancy Clutter, considered the darling of the town, was an excellent student and musician. She was known for her kindness, intelligence, and diligence to her duties as class president and leader of Holcomb's 4-H program. Kenyon Clutter was known as a bit of a loner. When his soul buddy found a girlfriend, Kenyon was left to do what he loved in solitude, disassemble electronics gadgets and rebuild them. He was the youngest of the 4 Clutter children. The 2 eldest daughters who survived the slaying, Ivana and Beverly, had moved out before the murderers slaughtered their immediate family.
A photograph of a bloody bootprint brought justice to the Clutter family.
Assistant Chief Rowletter was a keen photographer who made sure to document the scene in the early days of forensic photography. The images he captured, namely one of a bloody bootprint belonging to Smith, were key in helping prosecutors put the nail in the proverbial coffin for Smith and Hitchcock. Other items that assisted in their eventual conviction were a bloody rope and tire tracks that belonged to a car in their possession. Once the pair were located, the shotgun and bloody knife used in the murders were found right alongside them. The overwhelming evidence damned them on the spot.
The items for which the Clutters were killed make their deaths even sadder.
After ransacking the home, killers Perry Smith and Richard Hickock made off with practically nothing. They ended up with no more than $50, a pair of binoculars, and a transistor radio. It turns out that there was no safe full of money, like they'd been told by a fellow inmate while the pair were in jail. Most farmers could probably write you a check for whatever they wanted, said family friend Paul Ersick. But to carry cash, that wasn't going to happen.
Clutter's throat was slashed and the killer listened to his victim gurgling into death.
Killers Richard Hickock and Perry Smith walked in the front door of the family farmhouse armed with a Savage Model 300 gauge shotgun and a sizable, sturdy knife. They located Herbert Clutter, the father of the family, woke him, and then an interrogation began. The two had been told that the Clutter family kept a lot of cash in the house, and they broke in with intentions to rob the family. It didn't take long for them to realize that the safe holding of supposed zero in cash was bad intel. They asked Mr. Clutter where the safe was, and of course Mr. Clutter had no idea what they were talking about. Because there was no safe, said Finney County Sheriff Kevin Bascue. I don't think they wanted to take that answer at that time. I think that they still felt there was a safe there, and they didn't drive all the way across Kansas for nothing. During a later police interrogation, Hickock confessed to hearing a gurgling noise when Smith slashed Mr. Cutter's throat before shooting him in the head. He cut the hell out of him, Hickock told police. Don Cullivan was an army buddy of Smith's who visited him in prison. Cullivan was treated to a graphic description of Mr. Clutter's final moment. He said, "As I pulled the trigger, there was a flash of blue light. I could see his head split apart."
Hey guys, thank you so much for the support and likes and comments down below, and also thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to see you in the next video. Then take care, bye.